Hello, and welcome to the Argyle CIO Leadership Forum. My name is Nick with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our esteemed speaker. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, which include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. To ask questions throughout the session, simply type into the Q&A chat, and we will address your questions at the end of the session. Now, without further delay, I would like to introduce our speaker, Colin Dover, Senior Director, SAP Business Technology Platform Center of Excellence at SAP. We're super excited to have Colin with us for a thought leadership presentation titled Unlocking the Power of AI, Integrating Data Management for Enhanced Enterprise Strategies. Welcome, Colin. Over to you.
Nick, thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you. Good afternoon to everybody here today, and looking forward to spending the next 30 minutes or so with you. So, unlocking the power of AI. Obviously, AI has been a hot topic for the last couple of years now. It continues to be certainly a daily concern, daily interest for many of the customers I work with in the Center of Excellence that I belong to here at SAP. So, for the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you some of the conversations, the themes that come up around how to get the best out of AI, but ultimately what adaptations need to take place to your enterprise data strategies in order to get that value from your AI strategy, and how the two really need to come together. So it's going to be a pretty rapid run through, obviously a conversation that could span many hours and potentially days, certainly if we started workshopping some of the themes here, but just really want to give you a flavor of what we're talking about day in, day out. So I think the first thing that really comes to mind here, and this is something I wake up with on a daily basis in mind, thinking about our customers' reality. The fact is, the future is where we're going to spend the rest of all of our lives. And with that as the backdrop to the conversation, it really is one of evolution, adaptation, exaptation in some cases, of how we do things and how we get the most out of those things that we do. And so a large part of the enterprise data strategy conversation in the context of AI is about leveraging things that we've done in the past well as building new capabilities or extensions to our strategy that will serve us in the future. And so often these conversations really come down to a future-proofing exercise. How do we insulate ourselves as organizations against the future shock potential, as well as the relative value that AI can bring us? And so that's where a lot of these discussions start, and that's where I'm going to really try and give you a few pointers that may pique your interest for future conversations with SAP. So the first thing is, undeniably, the generative AI discussion has revealed a tremendous amount of potential. Certainly since November 2022, we've seen a global and a mass consciousness emerging around what AI can do for us, societally, economically, commercially, really in all areas of life. And so with that as the backdrop, the likes of McKinsey, other analyst firms are fairly bullish and confident in predicting that there's a tremendous amount of value, trillions of dollars in the coming years, that the generative AI space can support the generation of. So we have 73% of CEOs across regions. These are some of the numbers that we pulled together from various analyst firms that we work with here at SAP. So IDC is one that I certainly work with quite a lot. They feel there's significant opportunity. 69% of enterprises are seeing disruption already as they try to adopt AI and see the potential impact of that adoption. And 80% of the Fortune 500 companies included in a discussion of AI, have included discussions about AI in their 2023 earnings call. So, everyone's got a view to and thinking of where AI is going to play a role in the future. And I'm sure many of you here today are in exactly that situation. You may be well advanced, you may be not so well advanced, you may be just starting to put your minds to where that future value is. And irrespective of what stage you're at, the value is in many ways equally available and readily available to all of us. But there are challenges, and these are the challenges that certainly I've seen in my role working with our CIOs, CTOs, CDAOs, CDOs at our customers here at SAP over the last couple of years. One, we've got our legacies to maintain. We have heritage systems. We have complex and diverse and disparate landscapes of data, system sources and destinations, applications, and all of those things represent relative value to the business, but they also represent challenges in how we, on an ongoing basis, integrate those systems into what could become an emergent generative AI system. So what do we keep? What do we allow to sort of fall by the wayside? What do we retire? And how much investment do we make in what is already a sunk cost in many cases with technical debt potentially associated with those systems in the future? So that's one consideration. The first is a significant enough problem. The second is equally large. How do we scale? What does our business data landscape look like? What are the integration challenges in that business data? And how do we, again, get the most out of that? Break down, cross the silos, emerge from the information tunnels that in many cases have been created in our business landscapes. And the facts are most organizations do have that tunneling effect. It spans functional areas, lines of business. The reality is different very slightly depending on which business area you operate in. So, how do we get back to what we used to aspirationally refer to as a single version of the truth? And those single versions of truth, the integrity, the quality of data, the trustworthiness or the truthiness, if you like, of data is, again, a big backdrop discussion that goes into a lot of AI conversations. And that leads into the final piece, the concerns of large language models, the reliability, their propensity to hallucinate. Where do those hallucinations come from? Often they are about data quality issues in themselves. And how do we ensure that that doesn't lead to the stalling out of initiatives you may want to drive? So these are all pretty broad, deep, potentially complex, and in many ways perennial problems. A lot of these challenges should be very familiar to us. And this really takes us to the next part of the conversation here, which is what sort of support does your existing data strategy offer for embracing and leveraging value from AI? And the reality is, it's a joke, obviously, but I'm sure it's something that you at some point have seen either in your own or other organizations, the fact that when data strategies are talked about, there's this reference very quickly to architectural discussions, architectural views of the world within the business. And that often gets conflated with what a data strategy should be, and what over time it should emerge into being. And so that is something that we really need to think seriously about as we look at the potential value of AI. We can't fall back on making vendor selections and looking at the various technologies that we are picking right now to support our AI aspirations and call that the strategy. It is part of it, but it's no more than a third of it for the most part. So what does the rest of the discussion need to look like? Well, it's back to the old 90s Big Five adage of people, process, technology. There's maybe a few extra legs in that stool these days, but we can talk about those as we progress. But if your data strategy looks anything like, or in the minds of your business is represented in anything like this form, then probably something needs to be worked on significantly in order to bring it into a 2024 framing. As we exit the first quarter of this century and we move towards the second quarter, there's obviously a need to bring ourselves out of what in many cases is last century's thinking. And so that really is at the hub of a lot of these discussions for data ingestion, integration, management, all of the various competencies we need to bring to the data that we do manage before we then deliver it through AI or any other traditional consumable form. And so Peter Drucker, was certainly a factory for many good and compelling quotes that are still with us today. And one of them, I think, that really resonates is the greatest danger in times of turbulence, which, let's be honest, this time that we're going through with generative AI emergence and adoption, and some of the confusion around it, where the value potentially can be, is to act with yesterday's logic. And so we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater in terms of everything that we know, but we certainly have to challenge an awful lot of the norms and methods and practices and habits that are formed in many of our organizations if we are going to do potentially what we can with AI and the data that we have that is a valuable resource and has been prior to any AI conversations. So I put this slide up really just to drive that point home that we have to change. Agility is critical. Being dynamic in rapidly changing times with incredibly fast-moving socioeconomic backdrops, is critical. And I think this is a very sobering number. Now, whether McKinsey are wildly off or not, the fact is that an awful lot of organizations probably will struggle to make it through the next few years as they drive through their AI programs. And those AI initiatives will probably highlight potential deficiencies, issues, or shortcomings in the way that data has been managed in the past. Now, will those data failings in themselves be enough to lead to their extinction? Probably not, but it will be indicative of a general absence of agility and potential for change. So, staying competitive, staying relevant in our industries are top of mind for all of us. And how do we adapt as those industries change around us? How do we maintain our top predator or apex predator positions that we have? And so I think this is another little bit of data here that I wanted to share with you. I work a fair amount with TDWI. They used to be the Data Warehousing Institute. Now I think TDWI stands for Treating Data with Integrity. This is a very good reflection of the fact that, back to the slide with the cartoon, a lot of organizations struggle to agree on whether or not there is a solid, workable, executable, actionable data strategy in place, whether that's been historically the case or is currently there. And so the fact is there's a lot of work to do. When a small number are saying it's widely understood what the strategy is, where the potential value in that strategy comes from, and what it will result in, it's clear there's a great deal of work to do. And AI has provided a great excuse as well as opportunity to drive acceleration in the development of those strategies. So, I like to look at this as where's the potential, what's the upside? The glass isn't always half empty. And so in this case, AI is an enabler. It's a platform and a tool potentially contributing to organizational success. And it's clear that many businesses do perceive it that way, but aren't necessarily in a position yet to act upon it. So it's very important. It's somewhat important. That really accounts for an awful lot of the respondents in this one survey from TDWI. And then when we look at the organization's top priorities across, I think in this case, it was about 600 organizations in North America that were interviewed cross industries at senior leadership levels. The fact is that there's a perception that AI can lead to increases in operational efficiency, improved data, decision making, and so on. And then this other group of accelerating innovation, increasing revenues, and greater agility and adaptability. So there's our setup. AI clearly tremendous opportunity, but also represents a good amount of challenge for us. What do we do with our strategies, either that exist today or that we need to create for the future in order to insulate us against the fact that we will spend the rest of our lives in the future? And I mentioned the idea of the people, process, technology stool, the three legs there of any good strategy. Well, this is kind of our version of that. This is something that I use with customers on a pretty regular basis. I was just with a CIO and his team a few weeks ago in Chicago, and we sort of went through a few-hour exercise centered on this, which comes back to that previous slide of, if we see that there are outcomes that are going to be uniquely supported by AI, then we need to uniquely identify what those outcomes are. And in this case, this is a framework that we've built actually with our own CDO here at SAP to work through that outcomes identification process. So you see here on the top left, know and manage the highest value data. That's the data that we're going to focus on that supports the specific outcome. And we're getting very granular about these outcomes. It's often a combination of business and IT coming together in a single room, working through what the outcome is from top to bottom, whether it matters, whether it's something that is more of a reflection of the way that the business is run habitually, or it's something that is actually a strategic imperative for the organization in many areas, and will be the difference between failure, success, or doing less well or very well. So defining the business outcome, getting into the organizational structure, the governance requirements, making sure that we're not boiling the ocean of data, which has, I think, long plagued an awful lot of enterprises. The assumption that all data is equally needed to support the many business objectives within any enterprise. And the fact of the matter being that smaller subsets of data uniquely associated with specific and narrow outcomes is really where the focus needs to be applied. What are the metrics? What are the frameworks that go with that from a key performance indication standpoint? What are the things we're going to baseline and measure over time so we know we're doing the right things? So if we are investing efforts in integration of sources and systems, and those representing legacy heritage decisions that have been made, and the landscape as it was yesterday, as opposed to what it needs to look like for tomorrow, we know that we're making a well-educated judgment on those integration strategies as part of the overall data strategy. The next piece is the operational column here. How do we build the capabilities to meet the outcomes that we've identified in the previous exercise? What are the process requirements associated with that? What could be taken on by AI potentially in the management of those processes, the streamlining, the optimization of those processes, or potentially the elimination of those processes? What are the functional requirements, the quality, compliance? And obviously, we increasingly are talking about ethics in many cases. The sensitivity to our AI capabilities being biased in any way, the elimination of those biases, but also the recognition that from a business standpoint, many of the biases that we use to make judgments around data that we've used in the past actually helps us to make decisions. So, the voice, if you like, the tone of the voice that you have around data across your business, the accent, if you like, that you have around that data, what it represents in terms of the way that success is perceived, how that's reported, and how it's used in order to report successes. That's where there's a lot of effort that goes into identifying what biases are ones that maybe are desirable versus those that we absolutely do not want to fold into our go-forward environment. And then finally here, the technology column, the enterprise capabilities that are required, broadly speaking, across the various technology groups that you have, the integrated data architecture. So, what does good look like in terms of what could become a data fabric? So an awful lot of what we talk about here at SAP with our customers is the creation of a fabric, a little bit different from a mesh, but it allows for the productization oftentimes of data. So through that integration, identifying the threads, if you like, that make up the fabric, those varying thicknesses and colorations of data that exist in those heritage systems that I mentioned, as we bring those together in an integrated, governed, cataloged, and managed sense, we then get to the point of the creation of that fabric, and we can start to productize data that serves particular purposes and maybe monetize that data. And that's something certainly that we're seeing with a lot of AI use cases. Where is there a potential to externalize our data and share it in a data marketplace. So those are the sort of innovation use cases that emerge with the adoption of AI. So that leads us into what our security strategy needs to be in conjunction with those innovations that we may be making, the third-party data aspect of that and consideration that we should be making, and what is the overall just standard for pedigree of our data that we expect to maintain. How will we do that? What will that look like within that fabric approach if that's the way we go? But overall, the key here in any successful strategy, and I think Drucker may have said this as well, strategy is commodity, execution is art form, and it's really that art form that is dependent upon the alignment of business outcomes through to the granular level of viewing the data actually at an atomic level, and everything that occurs in between, all the disciplines that are applied, the capabilities, whether they're mature by current standards or they exist by current standards, those being part of that combined strategy. And so this is just another view of this, maybe a little too busy for the tone of today's conversation, but I just wanted to share it with you in terms of this being the methodology, the step-by-step view that we take once we've gone from an outcome to the actual execution, delivery, the deployment, the monitoring of whatever that use case may be, as defined by the outcome. And so, this is a very, very sort of summary view of the methodology, but hopefully it gives you a little bit of a glimpse into and a sense of the way that we like to approach this with our customers from a strategy definition standpoint. So I think one other thing, just back to the three legs of the stool there that I mentioned earlier, if there are additional capabilities that are more relevant in 2024, it comes down to the inclusion of business processes and potentially analytics. So, it's a slightly different view of the world. Yes, the people part absolutely has to be a critical and significant part of this. Ultimately, we're building a data strategy that is about serving the individuals in your organization and maybe outside of your organization. So, the integration of the data that's most relevant, meaningful, and is cared about by them is something that needs to be in the strategy, but also we need to think about how they're consuming that, whether it's through analytics, applications, or it's an agent. Just yesterday, Amazon launched their shopping agent, Rufus. We have our own Copilot. Nearly every vendor in the space right now is launching Copilots, and many of our customers are actually building their own equivalent Copilots and agents within their organizations. Excuse me. And so on that point, this is very much just a quick view of how we would see architecturally AI being delivered in most organizations. This is actually a sort of a high level, I'll say, architecture view of the AI portfolio within the SAP portfolio. And it's just worth saying that obviously SAP, we've been around over 50 years. We're predominantly known as an ERP vendor, and that is a fair characterization up until the last 10 to 15 years when we've become actually far more I would say, centered around data in its broader sense outside of the ERP world. This really is about SAP, non-SAP, third-party, structured, unstructured, oddly structured data sources, and how we bring those together in a way that, from a platform perspective, allows us to create a business context around that data, to govern that data, catalog it, do all of the things that we do see as being essential ingredients or capabilities for the delivery of meaningful, trusted insights in your business. And so, that is definitely about a breadth and a depth of capability that you can see in our portfolio. So at the top here, you've got relevant, reliable, responsible. Those are really the three watchwords for any AI conversation. Joule is actually the Copilot that I just mentioned a moment ago, and that's a very what shall I say, a very interactive and engaging mechanism for exposing AI insights, natural language essentially there, and instantaneous responses, feeding from data that is spanned again by the platform and the portfolio as a whole. And this really is a reflection of the fact that we see customers adopting AI in three different ways: either embedding it, building it, or deploying it from a third-party vendor. And so this embedded AI capability that you see in the center is really referring to the fact it spans the entire portfolio at SAP. We have specific line of business or functional AI capabilities, whether it's in supply chain, procurement, finance, human capital management. Those exist in all of those areas. And then the build capability exists within the AI foundation, and that's in the part of the portfolio I most commonly represent, called the Business Technology Platform. So just wanted to end with that. Very much this is about the reality of AI being here today, rapidly emerging. I feel like unlike any other time in this industry, we're seeing developments, innovations on almost a 24-hour cycle. What we said 10 days ago is maybe not quite as meaningful or relevant as it is today, because something new has come along and replaced that. We've got 21, I think, top-rated LLM technologies right now alone, and the number of LLMs is growing almost weekly. So, it's a fast-moving space with an awful lot of potential for, I think, confusion, distraction, and diversion. And what we're really trying to do here is help you center around the strategic themes, the outcomes that are most meaningful and relevant to your business, and then providing the technologies to support that. And I'll just finish with a quick summary here of the leveraging of AI as a catalyst for business transformation, integrating it strategically. That's absolutely critical. We're spending a lot of time with our customers, telling them, advising them, supporting them on how to ensure that AI is an embedded capability that spans the organization and isn't a science project in a corner, driven by the data science community. And then that effective use of AI that really does scale across the business and beyond, and is in many ways at its most transformational when it's at its most discrete within processes that are well understood, familiar, and have been around for maybe the entire history of your organization, but are transformed in themselves by the way that AI is eliminating a lot of the overhead and effort that's unnecessary in getting those insights to your business. So thank you very much for your time. I think there's a moment here for Q&A, and I'm just going to take a quick look at the questions that have been building out here while I've been talking. Well, so I think the big one here is, what are some proven strategies I've seen organizations apply to overcome challenges in AI data management and ensure successful integration? Really goes back to one of the points I made earlier. A thorough assessment, as is state, of the data landscape, understanding what you have, why you have it, what you need to go forward, and the what you need to go forward being framed very much in that context of what are the outcomes that are most critical to us as a business, and what can we afford to retire as a process, not necessarily the source associated with it, but what is it that we want to innovate around, and where are the highest value use cases that we can engage with AI in order to deliver on. So I think it's about prioritization. It's about making few assumptions about what can be replaced by AI until you're very confident that those outcomes are well understood and the implications of pursuing them are equally well understood. And so I think I'm getting the red light here, or the amber light. So on that note, thank you very much for your time, participation, and attendance today. Hopefully get the chance to follow up with some of you in the future, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Great. Well, thanks again, Colin, for such an incredible thought leadership session. And I want to thank everyone else for joining us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. And as a reminder, please be sure to check out the prizes and raffle rules section to see how you can earn points for the chance to win one of several prizes. Our next session will begin at 2:05 p.m. Eastern Time, which will be a keynote presentation titled How Data-Driven Enterprises Really Use Generative AI. Please click the join button that will appear on your screen to be redirected to the next session, and we look forward to seeing you there.